Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mindful Minute. I I don't have the I was gonna say windpipe. I don't have the pop screen for this microphone today, so you're gonna be hearing a lot of sounds. So I am sorry for that. Today I want to talk about self acceptance. This is something that is really important because I think a lot of the time people don't really know how to begin that journey of self acceptance. So, pull up a chair, friends, and let's kind of go through this topic together. We're all in this together. We're all in this together, everyone. I forget the rest of the words. Anyways, we're all trying to figure this out together. We're all works in progress, and I think that that's such a big thing that I want to mention. I kind of have some sniffles, so forgive me if you hear me go a couple times throughout this episode. Um, so, self acceptance. I think it is your own personal journey that you have to embark on. I think you can listen to people give you advice and take in what they are trying to tell you, but at the end of the day, you're on your own journey, and no one is on the same journey as you. People are on, going through that journey with you, but they're not you. They're not the same person that you are. They're different. And I think that I really want to start by saying I'm not perfect, not in any way, shape, or form. I've never been perfect. And let's be honest, I never will be perfect. And I don't want to be perfect because at the end of the day, you are who you are. And you can't change that. But there are things that you can change about yourself and how you view yourself. I grew up with a lot of doubt just for my own self. No one else really told me these things except for when people would pity me and tease me and make me feel like I was a burden. But I grew up telling myself that I wasn't good enough, that I was a burden for people, that my disability was something that I just needed to blame everything for. And I think I've talked about this before, but I haven't gone into full detail about it. I think it took me a really long time to really come to the idea that what I was telling myself, how I was talking to myself, just wasn't it. It wasn't what I wanted. And no one pushed me to make that decision. I came to that decision by myself because I saw how people were acting and just how I started to feel about things in my own life. And sometimes you notice patterns in yourself and in your life that you just kind of say, I don't like that. I don't like having this negative idea about who I am because I'm a beautiful person. And you are a beautiful person. Whoever is out there listening, you are beautiful. You are good enough. You are worthy. And you're not asking for too much. I think oftentimes we feel like we're just doing the most when in reality it's the people that you may be asking for those things that are not giving you the support that you need. And self-acceptance doesn't mean that you are fully healed from anything. I just want to put that out there because I'm still struggling with things. I'm not a perfect person. I just mentioned this. But there's a lot of parts of me that I have started to say and think differently about. I stopped putting all the blame on my disability. I stopped telling myself that I wasn't good enough. And I started telling myself that I was worthy and that I was good enough and that I'm not too much. Even though some days it feels like I am. And even though some days it makes me feel like maybe I am a burden for people. Maybe I am too much for people. But in reality, the truth is that I'm not. The truth is that I could have looked at myself differently a long time ago, but I never did because I didn't know how to. I didn't have the resources that I have been able to discover now that I'm in my 20s. And I know a lot of people say you go through a lot of phases in your 20s, whatever it may be for you. You're on a different journey and I'm on a different journey, and we're just two people on different journeys trying to help each other. And I want to help you because I know that it's hard when you want to seek help, and it's hard when you don't know really how to find that help. I started going to therapy in college, and therapy is one of those things that a lot of people overlook because of the fact that mental health is such a stigma. And there is such a stigma surrounding it. And I think for me, I chose to go to therapy. No one told me. No one said that it was okay to go to therapy. No one made me make that decision. I came to that decision all on my own because in college I was like, well, let me start thinking about how I want to treat myself. How am I going to cope with things when things get too hard? Because yes, sometimes you have great days where everything feels perfect and you're doing everything that you wanted to do. But then there's also the days where you just don't want to get out of bed. There's the days where you just want to work from home, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to socialize. And truthfully, people may say, oh, that sounds like depression, but it's not depression. And if you have depression, then no one should be trying to tell you how to do something because you're totally allowed to have the feelings that you have. Your feelings are valid. And it's okay if some days you feel super lazy. It's okay if some days you just don't want to do something. Because you are putting so much effort into being everybody's everything. You're somebody's friend, you're somebody's daughter or son, you're somebody's brother or sister or cousin, you're somebody's granddaughter, you're somebody's co-worker, you're somebody's friend, you're all of these things. And I think sometimes we forget to pause and say, yeah, I don't want to do all these things today. And in college, I was going through a lot of stuff where I didn't know how to really cope with my mental health, and I didn't really know what were the things that I could do until I started going to therapy. But I didn't go to therapy outside of college. I had the therapy services in college where I had a session, and beginning therapy, I didn't have a constant session where I was going every week and I was talking to the therapist. It was kind of scattered until literally towards the end of I was going to say high school, towards the end of college, where I finally found a therapist after they hired a bunch of other people that started working for them. And I was like, this therapist is the therapist that I needed from the beginning. Now, that is not to say that the other two therapists that I was, working with were not good. I really did like them. I thought they were great. But I think for what I wanted and needed, they really didn't help me in the way that I thought that I could have been helped. And that's not on them, and I think that this is why people don't go to therapy, is because they think, oh, what if I have a bad therapist? That's not going to help me. But it's about that journey, and it's about figuring out who is the right person for you. And these two therapists were amazing. I love them so much, and I still do love them. But I think at the time, it was just kind of okay, let me cry, let me vent, let me, whatever. But I needed someone to say, okay, what are we going to do? What's the coping strategy? How are we going to be consistent in you coming back here? And I did talk to them every single day in school. I was always very friendly. I always went to visit them, and I always went to kind of check in with them. But again, I needed something else. And that's fine. When you're in therapy, there's a lot of processes that you have to kind of go through, and a lot of phases where you start out and you don't really find the person that you feel is best suited for you. But that's okay. You don't have to quit, and you shouldn't quit. Because if you're really focused on helping yourself and getting better, then you're going to continue to push yourself to go through the processes and the phases. And so I eventually found this therapist, and he was really great. Like, the first day I met with him, we already had an inside joke. The first day I met with him, I felt like, okay, this is like me talking to my best friend. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what you need. You need to be able to find somebody that makes you feel like you're talking to your best friend. But also, someone that is also that professional person to say, this is what we need to do. And I felt like I made a lot of progress in those sessions. I made sure to be consistent with this therapist because I wanted to help myself. I wanted to understand how to find coping mechanisms for when my anxiety acts up and when I have panic attacks. I wanted to be able to fully go through the journey of accepting myself. And I really did find that it helped me a lot because I was just kind of able to talk and say everything that I needed to say and know that this person wasn't going to judge me and know that this person was listening to me and knowing that this person cared and wanted me to figure out ways to help myself. So I want to say that self-acceptance isn't perfect. It's not an easy process to go through, and it's not something that is all sunshine and rainbows. But at the same time, once you kind of go through the processes and you go through those phases and you experience whatever it is that you're going through and you kind of figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you discover coping mechanisms, then at the end of that all, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I did all of that and here I am, a better person than I was when I started. Because I find that now at 23, I feel much happier where I don't feel like I have to try to like please somebody else. And I'm such a big people pleaser. Like, it's horrible, honestly. It really is horrible. I remember being in college and people would be like, oh, let's go to this event, let's go to this. And I would just be like, yeah, why not? Because I felt like I had to force myself to fit in and find people when in reality, I didn't really have to do much looking because there were people that I met who I'm still friends with, who love me, and who accepted me and made me feel like just a normal person. And I think that for the longest, I didn't really know what that was because being blind, there was a lot of people that would be like, just give me the cold shoulder and not give me the time of day. And at the end of the day, you're not always going to meet people that you like. You're not going to meet people that like you. But I finally was able to say, I have good friends. I have a great support system. I'm doing things to better myself. I'm finding ways to make myself feel happier. I'm finding ways to take care of myself because it's hard. And having mental health, like dealing with your mental health, period, regardless of if you have anxiety, depression, anything, you have hard days. And I think that I finally am able to have my own sort of independence in terms of self-care where I don't have to try to put a wall up when something's difficult. I can finally be able to cry if someone says, are you okay? And I have. I cried in front of a bunch of people, okay? I remember this one time in college, this girl came up to me and I was sitting in the back of this office, in the student government office. And she comes up to me, she gives me a hug, and she's like, are you okay? And I bawled my eyes out. Like, I'm not even kidding you, I bawled my eyes out. And that was the first time, like, in person that well, not really. I mean, people have always asked me, like, are you okay? What's going on? Because I always had supportive people. But I think this specific time, whatever I was going through, and I know what I was going through, I really wasn't letting my emotions out until this person asked me if I was okay. And she was like, oh my God, like, what's wrong? Talk to me. What's going on? And I, like, I literally had to go to the therapist because I'm like, I'm dealing with a lot. I was super burnt out. I was super, super burnt out. And I was just holding everything within me and doing everything I could to not break in the middle of the day when walking through my college, whenever I would see people. And I think this is such a big thing with a lot of people is we tend to put on a fake smile even though deep down there's a lot of things that we are kind of going through that are really hard. And and I think that eventually I started to say, okay, I'm done trying to mask the way I feel because if I can't be me, then what's the point of me going through this whole journey of figuring out what's best for me? I don't want to put on a fake smile if something's not okay. I don't want to try to sweep my feelings under the rug if I'm having a bad day. I don't want to do that. I wanted to fully embrace myself and fully embrace the process of struggling. Because again, nothing is easy. Nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. And it's important to really notice the facts and the patterns in your life that are just toxic for you. I think a lot of self care for me also became letting go of people in my life who weren't right for me. I went through a lot of changes where I started to notice friendships that weren't really um, great for me. And again, that's not to like try to throw shade on anybody, it's just what it is. You sometimes will be friends with somebody, and sometimes that friendship comes to a part where you both have kind of made the decision to do better for yourself. And when you start doing better for yourself, sometimes with some friendships it may seem like, okay, we're both doing great, like why are we arguing? But I think in certain friendships it's harder when you are kind of going in one direction and the other person's going in another direction in their life, and it's harder to really communicate with people. And again, this is not like me saying, oh, F this person or whatever. It's just me saying what it is because it happens to all of us. It happens to every single one of us. We all have people in our life that one minute we're really close to them, and this could be friends or family, but eventually you start to kind of like drift apart, and not because you want to, but maybe just because of circumstances where you're focused on bettering yourself, you're focused on doing different things and focused on kind of going in a different direction where you want to start discovering ways that you can advance yourself, and the other person is doing something similar but in a different way where your communication style is different because you've now kind of grown up and you've changed and you've noticed that you are, kind of doing a little bit different, doing things differently, and I think that that's fine. I think that it can be hard when you are close to someone, but I also think that it's important to think about those things because again, you're always changing, you're always evolving, you're never going to be the same person. Granted, you're still going to have similar things about yourself. I'm not saying that you're going to completely like form into a completely different person, but when you're doing things to better yourself, there's a lot of parts of you that are not the same person that you once were. And again, you're still going to keep certain things about yourself. You're not going to completely let them disappear. I mean, I'm 23 and I like being adventurous, but I think also there's a part of me that knows that like I want to just kind of be surrounded by people that I love and people that love me and be surrounded by the things that make me the happiest. And yes, there's a time and place for everything. I think that that is one of the most true sayings that there ever is, that there has ever been. Just because there is a time and place for everything. I mean, I can be very energetic, but also I'm the girl that loves to sleep. okay? You will catch me taking a nap anytime. I would rather hang out with friends than go get drunk at a party. That's never been my thing, ever. And don't get me wrong, I'm very extroverted. I love making friends. I love being social. I love meeting new people and making connections. But I also have an introverted side to me where I'm just like, okay, can I go home and get some snacks or get some food and, watch Netflix in my bed? And I think that we all need to start thinking about those things because I feel like we don't get enough me time. You know? You don't get enough me time. You're always here and there. You're doing this, you're doing that. You're socializing, And I think just saying, okay, yeah, I'll go to this party, I'll go to this event, but then at some point I just want to kind of go home and just do nothing, you know? And that's totally fine. That is totally fine. Because your feelings and your emotions and everything that you're dealing with is completely valid. So yeah, you don't have to stay at a party for 3-4 hours if you don't want to. You can go for 2 hours, go for 1 hour, and then if you want to say, okay, I'm kind of tired, I want to go home and just kind of be in my own space. I think a lot of self-acceptance for me is also clearing out a lot of toxic things around me. Um, I I have a lot of. I'm in my room right now recording this, so I'm like thinking about a lot of the things that I keep in my room and that surround me. My walls are lavender because I love the scent of lavender. And so when people are like, "Oh, how did you know to choose the color lavender?" Well, because I love the scent of lavender and it calms me down. And every single time I step into my room, I feel more relaxed because I have like okay, I love fuzzy things, okay? So I have like my llama that one of my friends made for me. She has an Etsy shop. I have my beanbag chair. I have fluffy rugs. I have essential oil diffusers. I have candles. I have just things on the wall like my good vibe sign. I have a dream wall plaque. I have things like that I kind of like especially when I have panic attacks. This is where I come. I mean, obviously I'm always in my room because hello, I sleep here, I do everything here. And I'm trying not to work in my room as much as I do because I would really like to separate like my kind of downtime versus the time where I have to kind of be in a more professional um mode. But my room is kind of my safe haven. Like it is the place where when things are not easy and things are super hard, like I remember having a panic attack and I just came in my room, flopped onto my bed and just like slept because I knew that I was surrounded by things that I love and things that made me feel more calm, and I was safe. Period. Like that's it. And I mean, of course, like I'm in my house, so like I am safe, but at the same time, like there's still points where you need to kind of separate. Okay, yeah, this is my place, this is my house. Yes, I feel like I feel comfortable and calm, but you also need that like hideaway place where you can kind of go and just be like disappear for a little bit, you know? So self acceptance is a journey, and I don't think I'm done with my self acceptance. I think there's so much more to me that I am learning about, and so much more of me that other people may not understand, other people may not like it, but truthfully, I don't really care. And I think I have always been that person, especially as a teenager, where I cared about what people thought of me. Why can I not speak today? I cared about what people thought of me, and I cared about like what they wanted to say to me. But I think now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, yeah, people are going to say things, people are going to feel some type of way about me. But truthfully, I got me, you know? Like, I found myself and I'm still discovering who I am. I'm still discovering things about me that I am really starting to love. And I don't think that journey is ever fully over. I think that there's always parts of you that are going to be changing and things that you're going to notice about yourself that you love more and more. But, however, you also get to a point where you're like, oh, that person doesn't like me. Oh, that person feels this type of way about me. And you kind of just stop caring about those things because you really just need to focus on protecting your peace and protecting your energy. I think a lot of the time I let a lot of people into my circle and into my life that weren't really right for me. And noticing how now I'm very careful about who I surround myself with and who I let into my life and who I kind of like talk to. I have a very small circle. But I'd rather have a small circle than have people in my life who are negative and toxic and don't really care about me, you know? So, truthfully, whatever you feel like working on, however you feel like bettering yourself, I think that that is the most important part of this entire podcast. Just do things that make you happy. Do things where you feel like you're going to enjoy something. And don't feel like you have to, like be obliged to everybody else's things. Because if you don't want to do something, then don't do it. I think that's another thing for me is learning how to say no and learning how to set boundaries, which we've talked about on this podcast. Hello. But learning how to say no is a hard thing for a lot of people because, again, we live in a society where conformity is such a big thing. And if you don't conform to someone's ideas or someone's, clique or something, whatever that's happening on social media and in society, it's like people kind of look at you like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you? But if you feel like you want to do something different than what people are wanting you to do, then you do it. You do it. Because that is making you happy. That is benefiting you. Period. And so what? So freaking what? If people feel some type of way about it, well, that's really not your problem. That's kind of how you know who you need to keep in your life and who you need to let go of. Because I noticed it a while ago with a couple people where I kind of saw who was really going to be there for me, And it's important to surround yourself with people that care and that want to uplift you and that will uplift you when you do have a hard time, and people that love you and just want to see you succeed and thrive. So just know, like, the journey is never done. The journey in accepting yourself and embracing who you are is never done. But I think the way, once you start and you start looking into ways to really like focus on yourself and dedicate your time and your energy into that, the more that you will start to say, oh yeah, like I see now how I feel. Like I feel a lot better about things. And protecting your space and your energy and your peace is super important because you got to keep that stuff to yourself, Protecting your peace, protecting your energy, and your space are the three things that I think are super important because you sometimes will let people into your life that really are not meant for you. And I think that it can get hard when you are trying to connect with people, but at the same time, protecting your space and energy and peace just also means not allowing people to belittle you, not allowing people to tell you who you should be, not allowing people to try to make you different Protecting your energy means dedicating your energy to the things that mean the most to you and the things that make you feel, better and happier. Protecting your peace means letting go of people that are not meant for you, and also separating that time between being that social person that does everything for everybody and being the person that just goes home, orders food, and just lays in their bed and watches Netflix. Because that, to me, that may not be for everybody, but to me, that is my peace. That means I chose to go in a different direction versus staying out all night and doing something that I'm not going to enjoy. So I really, really want to just kind of send that message out to everybody. Oh my God, I feel a sneeze coming on. Hold on. Okay. So I just want to send that message out to everybody. Just please be kind to yourselves, because this world is not a kind place, and it's harder when you want to be a better person and people just don't want that for you. So be kind to yourself. Treat yourself the way that you want to be treated. And just remember what I said. Protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your space, and just spread a lot of love to people, because I think that that's what we all need. We need a lot of love in this world because it's filled with so much hatred. And also spread love to yourself. I think, and you always are spreading love to people, let's be honest, but I think that sometimes we forget to share that love with ourselves and look at ourselves the way we would look at a best friend. So yeah, I'm just trying to spread more positivity and spread my message, because I think that it's important for other people to understand it. I didn't have like a podcast like this, or even people that I knew growing up that were all about self-care to really show me what that meant. So I really did come to the decision, oh my God, by myself, of course with a lot of support from close friends, but also the full journey was because of myself. And I can only give you advice. I can only spread a lot of love and positivity to you, but it's also up to you to make the full decision about what your next step is and about how you choose to care for yourself. And if you're struggling, please get help. Don't feel like you're in this by yourself. Don't feel like you have to go through it alone, because there are people that I'm sure are out there that want to help you. Seek therapy, seek the resources that are going to help you, because you may not find it within yourself, but you also need to push yourself to seek that help if you want to get out of that struggle and you want to feel better. So I love you all. Thank you for listening. If you're new to this podcast and you enjoyed listening to this podcast today, be sure to subscribe. Follow me over on Instagram at mindful.minute_. And send me a message and I'll definitely message you back. Oh, and if there's a topic that you want to hear more about, just leave me a message or a comment over on my Instagram. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great day.